When 540 trills flew into the base security office, he did not expect to see the current security officer blatantly ignoring a fire alarm. Officer 77 clicks. 540 trills demanded. There is a fire in the human compartment of the base. I am aware, the officer responded, dismissing the statement with a flick of his wing, his eyes still glued to a readout of the exterior fences. Well, 540 trills insisted. The officer nudged the data pad toward him with his wing claw and resumed scanning the readouts. 540 trills picked up the device and activated it. The text scrolled across the screen at a steady pace. It is a candle. The human inside the room is using it for meditation. Staring at the flame supposedly helps clear the human's mind. It will not disturb the oxygen balance in the base. I have ensured that the human signed a document stating she will not leave the open flame unattended. If any further action is necessary, someone else can waste their breath arguing with her. 540 trills furrowed his brows in frustration. He had been warned that extended exposure to humans could be detrimental to protocol, but this was his first personal experience with it. He sighed, adjusting his wings against his back. The candle's flame wasn't exactly a threat, but it was completely unnecessary. You really don't want to. 77 clicks muttered without even looking up, as if sensing 540 trills' thoughts. 540 trills exhaled again. He was probably right. Humans were bizarre. The new position. Flip-off twisted around, rotating his support appendages in irritation, sending a rippling motion through his core. He debated informing the arrogant officer what his name actually translated to in human dialects, but, like every other time, decided against it. He adjusted the data pad in his gripping appendages and continued, if that is a direct translation. Even with all associated meanings, I don't see the need to create a new position. Just inform the crew that there must be 2 morale officers on any ship with 1 or more humans. One as a master, the other as a student. Because Flip-off raised his appendages in a signal typically used with younglings who ask too many questions about the color of algae fields. This is not a learning position. Twist around tightened his appendages in stubborn confusion. And you expect me to be an expert on this state of mind? He felt a flicker of pride at correctly using the last noun. Centralized nervous systems were truly fascinating. No, Flip-off replied with a sharp flick of an appendage. You are simply an officer with more than a month of experience with human crews. Like all the others we contacted, we expect you to become the expert. I have only been trained in observational psychology, Twist Around pointed out uneasily. I am hardly prepared to intervene. Good, Flip-off interrupted. Taking action based on your observations will be the responsibility of the morale officer. You must understand that from the start. Twist Around suppressed his irritation. It was one thing when a fast land species interrupted a flowing conversation, but another when an undulate, who should have known better, did it. Yes, there was an undeniable cosmic irony in Flip-off's name. Either he was completely unaware, or he deliberately chose the translation. However, Twist Around did not detect any sense of humor in the brusque officer. So my job, Twist Around began, scanning the description again in an attempt to extract the relevant information buried in its many, many words, is to observe the human population, whether it is one or many, and report to the morale officer any instance or indication of a state of mind that is virtually non-existent among our species, except as a rare and typically fatal neurological condition, but that humans consider completely normal. Correct, Flip-off confirmed. And to make it simpler, we are labeling it with human words because it is almost non-existent in other species. Twist Around felt certain he had misinterpreted the Trisk field report. The small, skittering land species bore a slight resemblance to his own kind despite being an arthropod-like species, but their vastly different life perspectives made their reports difficult to decipher. You're saying humans suffer from a lack of sufficient threats? Twist Around asked, still convinced he had misunderstood. Indeed, Flip-off confirmed, his tone completely neutral. Twist Around expanded his appendages, patiently waiting for further clarification. but none came. As absurd as it sounded, this was now his new duty. I suppose that is very generous of the home pools, Twistaround said uncertainly, to invest so many resources in ensuring the mental well-being of our new allies. Flip-Off assumed a grim stance. There is nothing altruistic about this, he stated. This is purely for the safety of our crews who have to deal with humans. Why must you be so dramatic? Twistaround finally burst out, exasperated by his superior's posturing. What's the worst that could possibly happen if a highly trained and highly skilled human gets bored? An unexpected escape. Shots, yeah. Just got the call. I'm needed in the engine compartment. Sorry, later. Fourth Sister stared blankly at the retreating human, trying to process the suddenly empty medical bay. She clicked her mandibles thoughtfully and placed the syringe back into the sterile cabinet where she had drawn it from. Lifting a hand to the communication unit, she activated it. Chief Engineer, this is Chief Medic, she said crisply. A moment later, the device chimed. Yes, came the cheerful reply. Did you summon Fifth Engineer to assist you? Fourth Sister asked. Fifth? Oh, you mean Robinson? The Chief Engineer's voice carried mild confusion. No, he's scheduled for a medbay visit today, according to the chart. Why? Because he just left the medical bay in a state of agitation, claiming he was urgently needed in engineering, she explained. Well, that's weird, the Chief Engineer muttered. Was he done with his treatment? No, Fourth Sister snapped. In fact, I was just about to administer. She cut herself off, remembering human strict rules regarding medical privacy. The Chief Engineer, however, burst into laughter. You were about to give him his nutrient shot, weren't you, he guessed. Yes. Yeah, he's terrified of needles. You'll have to track him down and basically drag him back. Human law does not allow for forced medical treatment, Fourth Sister pointed out. You won't have to force him, the Chief Engineer assured her. This is literally a do-or-die situation. Tell you what, I'll have Joni drag him back and sit him in the chair. Oh, yeah. Be prepared for him to pass out. Safety restraints might be a good idea. Fourth Sister pressed her mandibles together, laying her frill flat against her head. There was so much wrong with that statement. She didn't even know where to begin. How? Exactly, she finally asked. Is the second navigator going to capture and return him to the medical bay? She is perhaps a fourth of his mass. Told you, the Chief Engineer replied cheerfully. It's not about force. She's just the best at convincing him. Fourth Sister considered this. I have seen Fifth Engineer walk into the medical bay under his own power, with a handspan of cryo-steel embedded in his thigh. He was laughing about it. So, the Chief Engineer asked, so why is he terrified of a sterile subdermal needle to the point that safety restraints are necessary? Spike me if I know, the Chief Engineer said, still laughing. Phobias aren't supposed to make sense. There we go. Jed just caught him in the cafeteria, and she'll have him back in 2 shakes of a cat's tail. Cheers, and remember, use the restraints. The call cut off, and Fourth Sister lowered her hand. She inhaled deeply and released a breath. Humans are weird. The Rainbow Hunter. Twistunder slumped in frustration, tearing his attention away from his report for what felt like the 40th time that day. Yes, spins and agitation, he asked, carefully modulating his body language to remain calm. It wasn't Spins and Agitation's fault that the base was full of humans. I have a question, Spins and Agitation admitted hesitantly, his hesitation clear in the precise way his appendages lifted and dropped. Of course you do, Twistunder sighed. Is it about human behavior? Yes, Spins and Agitation waved his gripping appendages quickly, relieved. There are crystals hanging in the base windows. Twistunder stiffened slightly. Yes, humans cannot naturally differentiate variations in solar light. To them, each sun appears as a single color. The crystals are decorative. They scatter the light, allowing humans to see a broader spectrum. That was in the briefing file. Spins and Agitation agreed. But I had the chance to observe a human without him knowing I was there. Twist Under pulled his appendages under him in anticipation. This was going to be good. It was the optimal solar angle for light scattering. Spins and agitation continued. The briefing file called it a full-spectrum event. Human Steve was in the White Room. The refractions were shifting across the walls due to the swinging crystal. And Human Steve was, well, he trailed off, his appendages lowering in frustration. You think he was hunting the foci? Twist Under asked stiffly. Yes. Spins and agitation resumed. He was creeping around the room, following the refracted light patterns, the rainbows, as they called them. Every time he got close to one, he would, pounce. He pounced at them, grasping the flat wall with his primary appendages. Then he would grin, I believe that is the term, and start stalking another one. Twist Under remained silent, already feeling the growing absurdity of the situation. Then the crystal stopped moving. The foci stopped shifting, and he frowned, walked over, nudged the crystal, and started it swinging again. Just so the foci would keep moving, spins and agitation stopped, his appendages drooping in bewilderment. Why? He finally asked. Twist Under twitched and longingly glanced at his unfinished report. I don't know, Spins, he admitted with a weary droop. I just don't know.